you can hide behind like beautiful imagery and things on your website if your backend data is not clean and tagged and described in the right way.
Hello, listeners, viewers. I have a really exciting guest today, Avani Oswal. Avni is the founder of Catalyst Growth, a vibrant community of e-commerce and retail experts, also head of digital at Elizée Shoes. She's also consulting AR retail startups, and actually is doing a lot of things that are really in the intersection of innovation, retail, AI, SEO, GEO. So, Avni, let's get it started. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Eitan. I'm excited for our conversation.
Yes. It's going to be a really, really exciting one, a very, very interesting one. So thank you for joining. But before we get started and dive in, Avni, I wanted to choose like 3 words that are most important to you or describe you the best and why you chose them.
Okay. This is a very interesting question. I love it. It's more or less about my values, and that's kind of what I embody as well. So one of the first words is curiosity. I always try to keep that word close, not as an action that I do. Especially in this day and age, more than ever, it's very important to stay curious. So I chose that word because throughout my life, I've always wanted to learn. I've been a huge self-help books and content consumer. And nowadays, I'm trying to stay curious about how AI is impacting not just the retail world and my professional and personal life, but just one level out other industries and in general our world. So curiosity is definitely one of the main words for me in my life. Second one would be relationships. I'm very relationships driven. I believe in our life, relationships are one of the treasures, main things that impact how we feel and our happiness. So I really try to cultivate relationships, both professional and personal. And I'll talk more about the community Catalyst that I started, which is all based on relationships. And when someone asked me why I started this retail exec community, I really was thinking through, I've always enjoyed people coming together and being around and learning from them, going back to my first one of curious. So relationships are very important to me because even in school, university or undergrad, I was an RA, resident assistant, which was all about cultivating relationships in the dorms and the floors you were living in while going to school together. So definitely a value of mine that has carried throughout my life. And last one would be kindness. Really believe, again, cultivating kindness is very important. I think we should keep that empathy and the human aspect of us even more close to heart nowadays. With so much technology evolving, I think in the end, kindness and empathy are always going to be super, super important. And that would be the third main value that I want to continue as we foray into this new world.
Yeah, love it. I mean, I always, shocked and really amazed by the words that guests are using and the combination of things, that's how it resonates with them. Love the curiosity thing. It make me think a lot about, people are saying you need to have passion in what you do, right? There's also discussion around passion. And I was thinking about curiosity, which is, for me, I think it's a much more powerful aspect because it has this growth element, right? Curiosity is just this driver for learning new things and growing in any aspect of our life. So really, really thank you for sharing that. And it's really great start for this episode. So Avni, there is obviously a big shift happening in e-commerce and retail due to AI. What are the things that you see and how teams can separate, the noise out there that is just new things just launched and showing up every day, right? So how do you separate the noise from the really important things?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things AI is touching, and of course, you can implement AI in all the aspects of a business. Keeping to the e-commerce business specifically, I think there's so many use cases in terms of keeping the noise from the real thing. I think it's very important to start testing. That's what I advise a lot of the companies I work with, is to start testing little at a time and keep track of the metrics, specifically set up metrics and dashboards around the tests you're running, specifically the AI tests, and measure the impact. Because I think sometimes it's it's a shiny new toy and everyone wants to use it everywhere. But I think the measurement of it is going to be really important to really know how much impact it's really having. But I very much encourage everyone to start testing in a small way. And we can talk about the various use cases. I have been working with my clients on in more detail, but I think for me, it's definitely start testing. You don't want to be left behind, especially smaller players, because you can move, you have more agility. I would say definitely start testing because this is your chance to really, outdo your competitors. And then measurement is the second big one of really knowing what the impact your testing is actually having.
So this will be like a practical framework that I know you talk a lot about. I mean, just go ahead and test and just define those KPIs and try to figure out, what's good for you and what's working for you.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely a framework of like specifically what is the AI supposed to impact and how is it impacting. Of course, everyone wants more revenue and conversion, but maybe the factors that impact that, like one level deeper, could be a better ROI of really understanding the true impact. And in terms of like actual solutions, because there's so many solutions out there, I think it's important to a bunch of them and really understand what differentiates them. For instance, if we take the AI shopping assistant use case as an example, I hear of a new AI shopping assistant company literally every week, it seems. And I know a lot of the founders and talk to them. And I really stress test exactly what makes their model or approach different. What you don't want is a company that's just putting a pretty UX on the same base model. You have to be careful about like what else are they doing on top of just putting a pretty UX on ChatGPT, because then it's just you're paying for a really expensive ChatGPT because of the user interface. So really understanding what differentiates their model, that because a lot of them can help you improve conversion, which is great because they are looking at all the questions your customers are asking and will help you improve the PDP or, add that metadata that's going to actually improve your SEO or G or AE or whatever word you want to use. So just what is the impact? One, really understand, and I know a lot of it can get technical, but just ask the question like, okay, how is it like what models is it trained on? What is the data sources that it's feeding the information from? And how is it better than just base model of ChatGPT? Just asking those basic questions to understand what is the product that you're actually buying is important. And then understanding how they're actually going to like continue to evolve and improve, because they'll be getting a lot of data from the customers asking questions, and how are they using that data? Are they then understanding what are the most frequently asked questions and serving that up so it's a one-click answer? Because, instead of someone having to type the same question again, what is the user interface that's actually adding beyond just basics now of what an LLM model can do, I think is important. So those are some of the ways you want to really differentiate amongst the different tools. And some of these tools are starting to have niches, like a certain shopping assistant might have a lot of beauty clients, right? And beauty has its own unique needs because, skin type, allergies, all those matter. And if they have already been working with a lot of those skincare beauty clients, they know how to do the model and like find the right skincare fit for your consumer, versus someone who's been working a lot with apparel and jeans and pants and a different kind of fit, and the way to ask questions or serve up the answers is important. So I think it's great that we have so many solutions. It's important to understand the base model. It's important to understand kind of where they're finding their niche and their clients. And maybe those are the ways you can kind of filter which one might be the right fit for you. And then it's to be seen how all these models continue to evolve, which ones come out to be the winner. So I would say definitely keep an eye out, continually test, because the world is evolving so fast. Like today, XYZ companies do this job really well, but the incumbents could catch up really fast. So I also wouldn't want to lock down too long term of contracts, because the landscape is shifting so fast and you don't want to be stuck with a tool that didn't innovate as fast as the next one.
Yes. I mean, I've read, variety of reports lately about CMO's focus for next year, right? And obviously AI assistant and just using AI to personalize journeys, right? Definitely also the digital e-commerce platform itself and just focus on personalization through AI is just on top of the charts for in any of those reports, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's exciting now more than ever. Personalization seems an actual reality we're getting closer and closer to. I'm remembering from my Macy's days, we were starting this personalization journey. This is a few years ago. But if I went to Macy's.com and you went to Macy's.com, we would see the exact same homepage, even though we might have both shopped that store, Macy's before. They wouldn't know to show me more female oriented stuff versus something else. And it was just bonkers because it was like one of the top 10 visited sites around the US. And there was like no personalization, even if they know, like there's just like no way of using who we are and switching the merchandising up to better convert. We are getting closer to that reality now. And this was Macy's, right? Like huge company with lots of resources. Now I'm hoping more of us, especially even like the smaller Shopify brands, can provide a unique personalized experience to each customer. It's more now we can do not a one-to-many segmentation. It will be a one-to-one segmentation because how fast the data can be processed by AI and how fast the creatives and everything can change.
Yes, and definitely from technology perspective, and you know that these things can definitely be implemented. Just understanding. I mean, if you have a visitor already purchased and you have data and history, why not just personalizing everything? And yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity also for the smaller brands and just to catch up quickly and break through this personalization technology and really differentiate themselves because we know how difficult it is for them to get exposure on Meta or on TikTok, on any other, just competing with these large budgets, right? Performance budget, ad budget. And yeah, so we need to be creative and think more of a, from the technology, right, side and implementation of AI side of things to differentiate and break through. Right? That's
Absolutely. And the customer expectations are rising higher and higher of what they expect their experience to be in a digital journey. Everything from obviously personalization, but now like some stats I'm reading is like they almost want to give you some basic guidelines, right? Like how we talk to ChatGPT, some context of I'm an X-year-old living in Y city and looking for this sort of a vibe when it comes to my dress for this occasion, right? Like the context, and then they almost want you to help them decide. Like so, you are literally the shopping assistant. It's the concierge level service that one would expect walking into a store and talking to a sales associate online, and with AI, that's possible at scale because obviously you can't staff as it gets expensive to staff as many people to give that level of one-to-one concierge service. But with AI, you should be able to take the context. And if you have tagged your products with as much metadata as possible with AI helping with that and how like someone who asked that question before looked for something like that before checked this thing out, it's just going to get richer and richer.
yeah. And obviously, we know that there is a big shift from search, right, and search engine to answer engines, right. I think the latest report I saw like a 47% drop, right. I mean, we're not looking for links to find if we can read a blog or find an answer. We just want that answer, right, like just showing you immediately. How do you see this change, or how do you see retailers or e-commerce leaders are, understanding this change, and what are the major things that they need to do just to actually answer this mega shift, right, in discoverability and just more visibility for the brand?
Yeah, now more than ever, you have to have your data super cleaned up with the changes and the consumer expectations because you can hide behind like beautiful imagery and things on your website if your backend data is not clean and tagged and described in the right way. Because they might not even make it to your site. Like the LLMs need to have all that data to serve your product up as one of the options for the consumer. As more and more people, similar to my example earlier, will give that context to ChatGPT and is expected to give it three or four items or sites that they should go look at before they make that purchase. If we're not ready to let LLM do the purchasing yourself and still want to be a little bit of an agent, but still starting with strong recommendations, and then the human will go and look at that. You want to show up in that consideration set. How do you show up? I think obviously the AEO concept is very tied to SEO, but now it's even like 10x or more accelerated in that like you really need to have a lot of metadata for the various types of questions people might be asking that you might not have thought of. So that's why it's very important to start cleaning up your data, making it easily accessible to LLMs to read on the back end. And there's various tools available for that are going to enhance your metadata and be able to change with times, because how someone is like whatever is trending at the moment. Like let's say one of the more recent trends has been quiet luxury. You might have items that are quiet luxury, right? But you might not have that on your PDP as a describer, but at least you should have it. But if you, with AI, you should be able to like improve or change around your PDP descriptions faster. If not, in the very least, your backend metadata should have the word quiet luxury as a tag for those items. So you can show up in the queries if someone is asking ChatGPT for items that are on trend related to that. There are some great tools available now. I think there are a lot of SEO, AEO ranking tools that are at least showing you a report card of how is your brand showing up in the various LLM queries. What percentage of mindshare do you have when someone is talking about X sort of category? So at least you can see the report card. What I'm loving is some solutions are going beyond that, beyond the scorecarding, and actually helping you push the right content for you to catch up and close the gap. Mm-hmm. So it will be on just report card, but actually the solution of how to fix those gaps. So if you are, for instance, for Elizée, the luxury shoe brand that I'm working for, we kind of stand for comfort and craftsmanship because these are beautiful Italian made shoes with a high price point. So we want to make sure we are showing up when someone is asking, hey, I want comfortable shoes that are well made and look beautiful and are going to last, are durable. So if those are values we want to stand for and we're not showing up in that answer in the LLMs, we want to figure out how we can have content on our website that's going to help us kind of really get that mind share.
Yes, exactly. And you mentioned a few updates on the PDPs, but also in terms of content creation, it's less, 2,500 words blog. It's more like think about what people are, asking and the immediate response they want to get. So like more focused kind of articles in a higher frequency, probably just to catch up on the various answer questions that people are asking on ChatGPT and Gemini and others.
Exactly. Yeah, to your point, that format matters. Yeah, the quick question answers, FAQs. You can have it visible to the consumer on your website because hopefully it's helpful to your visitors as well. But at least in the back end, it needs to live on your website. So the LLMs can crawl even if it's not like live on your website because you don't want to clutter your FAQs.
Yeah. So Avni, I'm very, very, very interested in Catalyst. I mean, tell me what drove you to launch that, community, and obviously members of like leaders in the industry, driving a lot of knowledge and insights. So tell us more. I'd love to learn more about that.
Yeah, Catalyst really started during the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, I was working for Macy's in New York, and I moved to the West Coast, switched jobs to another company, Ipsy, on the West Coast in California, closer to my family and my original roots. And because that job was remote, and once, and we stayed remote, I was just starting to miss kind of being able to talk to peers and colleagues and run ideas and learn from each other. Because New York was always buzzing with so many events, and the Bay Area, there are a lot of retail execs and leaders scattered, but I just didn't know how to like get to them. So I started meeting them at various conferences, and then those are great because you see someone for a short period and then like you just got to wait for the other conference. So in between, I wanted the conversation to continue. So started hosting small dinners for us to get together, peers to exchange ideas. And then AI was coming on the scene. So there was so much to learn and so many questions, and like everyone was curious. So I think that's really how it started, is out of curiosity and my love for relationships, to go back to my values. And it has grown into a beautiful thing. We have members across the US and some abroad. And we do dinners, roundtables around various topics. I've been having roundtables for the last few months. We've started cohorts of like specific topics, because to have it just focused, and so there's just so much to talk about. So I've had one on everyone talking about how they're approaching AEO, GEO in their organization, so we can learn from each other. There was one on AI governance and how teams are internally organizing and making decisions on exactly what we were talking about. How do they choose the right tools? How do they figure out the signal from the noise? And how are they vetting the tools or measuring the tools? And it was fascinating to learn from, because we have execs from all the way from like Walmart to like, like smaller SMB brands, and how some companies, and it just varies by the size of the company, but also how everyone's approaching and their leadership's risk tolerance. Some people are organizing AI councils within the organizations that is almost like a central org that has people from various functions within the company that are deciding on tools as a group. So it's more really cohesive strategy. Some people are just like moving really fast and agile, and like teams are choosing the tools, or even down to an individual level, just like trying the tool out and then kind of advocating it for their team. And it's kind of more of a grounds up approach of like, hey, different people are trying different tools and fighting productivity. And how do we then make it part of the organizational fabric? I think there's just various ways to approach it, but it's really fascinating to hear how different people are approaching it. But these are the conversations Catalyst leaders are having, because there's no blueprint. And I think we're flying the plane as we build it sort of thing everywhere. So it's been really useful for personally me, but I hope from what I hear, other Catalyst members, they're finding value in learning from their peers in this day of rapid change. And of course, we enjoy a good meal, or, cheersing or like clinking our drinks together once in a while as well.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. And I know it's a lot of offline events, right? Which is also like great news, definitely after COVID when you started it. But obviously a lot of thought leaders in the community. What are some of the emerging trends that you see, let's say, for the next 12 months or 24 months? Can be AI or any other interesting thing you'd like to comment on that?
Yeah, the emerging trend is a lot of people are trying to figure out how to implement AI governance within their org. That's like, I would say, at least talked about topic even at conferences. I think we talk a lot about the solutions and the trends of how people are implementing it, but how they're choosing the tools, what kind of governance and safety procedures are happening internally are less talked about. So I think the leaders are really trying to figure out how to do that. I think that's a trend that everyone's kind of figuring out on their own. And Catalyst is trying to be a solution, or at least a thought leader in terms of that. But beyond that, I think some of the other trends are, of course, AI's use in marketing. That was one of the main use cases, an early use case, right? And we've seen many solutions around that and evolution of that. I think some of the other ones that are starting to emerge are demand forecasting, inventory management. I think that's a huge use case that I think it's going to be really useful for a lot of retailers to improve their inventory management, decrease stockouts or over purchasing of inventory and tying up the cash. I think that's going to be a really useful use case that I'm seeing come out. Of course, we talked about GEO, how important it is going to be for all the companies to be ready to show up and the LLMs as answer, and how they're preparing for that. And lastly, shopping assistance. I think that one is a huge one as well. How you can help. I mean, it's part of the digital journey, and of course, can improve conversion. How you can make it easier for the visitors on your site to find the right product continues to be a trend. I think between AI shopping assistant, GEO, AEO, inventory management, and then of course personalization of like right when people land, and merchandising will continue to be big trends. My goal is in the end, or my prediction is as we go by 2030, there'll be more consolidation of all these tools. Right now, there's like one use case and many tools within that use case. And even in those, there's newcomers who are like coming fresh and attacking that problem. There might be existing ones, right? Like a lot of the existing CX tools like Gorgeous, Zendesk, they're also, absorbing the AI tools within them and providing that value. So it'll be just really interesting to see the consolidation of some tools and which ones come out ahead or the winners in this trend. And eventually, I mean, obviously Shopify is implementing or providing a lot of tools within their own platform, right, that are Shopify and like company or tool agnostic. It'll be just part of the template or the base template that a lot of companies use. So in the end, I feel it'll be interesting to see how we see consolidation in all the tools, how many tools come like baseline with the platform, and how many are going to be add-ons.
Yeah, like also like any other emerging market, right? I mean, there's a lot of fragmentation right now, but obviously sometime very soon, and we're already starting to see that consolidation will start, right? So that's definitely part of any market, and it's really interesting to see that. Obviously you need to consolidate a lot of AI functionality into one use case, right? Into one workflow, just to make more sense. I mean, there are so many tools that brands and even retailers are using. Like there is a SaaS fatigue probably out there. And by the way, so I mean, it's a great startup idea. Just check what you have and eliminate 50% of your subscription fees. That's yeah.
And it goes back to measuring, are these tools helping you? Because to your point, you can add a lot of tools and it's hard to keep track of what's actually, and things are going to improve, but you don't know where they came from. So you want to move fast, but you also don't want to, you want to have visibility on what's actually making the difference. So I was talking to my friends who work at ChatGPT because the LLMs themselves, right? ChatGPT itself, like at that level, is working with big retailers who want to build tools internally. So outside of all the software solutions that are building, the big, as long as you have resources, and the big companies are building tools directly with ChatGPT, co-creating for their specific company and use case. So super customized, but it's also very interesting to see how larger companies are building kind of from the ground up instead of buying the solutions. But some of the use cases that I just mentioned are also, I'd asked my colleague, or keep calling her my colleague, I don't work at ChatGPT, but I have a lot of friends and I'm in close touch with them and figuring out how is ChatGPT helping some of the enterprise companies, and the use cases are the same.
Yes. I mean,
a lot of shopping assistance, inventory management, the use cases are similar.
Yeah, just go more deep and more specific into those use cases, and this overwhelming use of SaaS tools just creates another confusion in terms of understanding what's really happening and just figuring out through analytics and data. There's so much data out there, and now the thing is, okay, what do we really want to ask the ChatGPT or any data platform just that will make a difference in our main KPIs or business KPIs. So it's another struggle. But Avni, I also want to talk to you about another aspect of a lot of things that you do. You also work with AI startups, right? So tell us more about that.
Yeah, there are so many AI startups, and that's part of a branch of Catalyst is advisory. Because I'm in the Bay Area and know a lot of the founders that happen to be here, or even in New York for that matter. I help them figure out their product positioning, how they can stand out as a signal above the noise. So I really ask those hard questions myself of the startup and work with the founder if they have a good product, of how they should stand out, especially in this AI age where there's so many messages going out on LinkedIn to retail execs. They have a good product. That's not going to be good enough. It'll be hard for them to stand out. So what are the ways they should go to market and show up in the right places with the decision makers, aka these execs. So because hear from the execs what their pain points are, right, as part of the Catalyst communities and our conversations, and if I find some startups who are actually going to solve some pain points, I think it's symbiotic in that I can advise the AI startups on how to position their product, how get product feedback from the execs, and or find them designers or co-designers as they're trying to build their product. And once the product is built, how to go to market, how to show up at conferences, how to make the right connections, help them put them in touch with the right execs who might have that pain point that they can solve. So it's all about adding value. Relationships are all built on values, right? Like I personally try to add value to both sides of the ecosystem, the retail execs to help them solve their pain points by putting them in touch with the right solutions. And for the founder who's building something awesome, for him or her, them to find the right customers so they can thrive and the whole ecosystem can rise and be better.
Yes, that's definitely the right way to go these days in terms of marketing, because LinkedIn, even marketing is like overly crowded, channels that are less and more ignored by first the servers themselves, but also by the execs, right? So just going through communities like yourself makes a lot of sense, right? So, right, Avni. So if anyone wants to reach out to you, maybe from the startup community, from the retail community, or any other, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, LinkedIn. You can find me, Avani Oswal, Avani. Last name is Oswal. I am on LinkedIn. And yeah, just shoot me a note and would love to catch up and learn how your community and we are all approaching AI or anything else I can be of help with.
Amazing. Anything else you want to add, Avni?
No, I'm excited for a great year ahead to learn together. Right. I mean, I don't claim that I know it all, but I definitely can say I will stay curious and try to talk to people who work at ChatGPT, who are at the various enterprise and small brands, who are at these AI startups who are trying to solve solutions. So for me, I'm trying to really learn from all aspects of our ecosystem. So yeah, that's it. I'm just going to stay curious and hope we all learn from each other.
Yes, amazing. I wish you a great 2026. Happy New Year. And definitely stay curious. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Talk soon.